Hello, my lovelies. Right, so I'm going to start with differences in Italy and Canada. First of all, the hotels. The toilet paper. In Canada, when I go to a hotel, there's like 3 or 4 rolls of toilet paper. In Italy, there would be whatever was left on the roll and then 1 extra. That was not okay when there was 4 girls staying in the same room. There was one day I got up before the other girls and I had to run downstairs in my nightie because I expected there to be another roll when I finished what was on the one already in there, and there wasn't, and everyone was getting up, so that was annoying. The bedding is really different. I'm used to duvets like we have in Canada. They're soft and fluffy and you can roll yourself up in them and it's wonderful. They don't have that. They would have several sheets and then a quilt with the sham attached to it, and it was so difficult to like roll yourself up in it, and it wasn't very warm. So that was disheartening. I didn't like that. Also, they show you the room before you are committed to taking it. And they show you the room that you will be in, not a showroom. So that is very cool. You can request to see it and then take it if you like it. When you're out and about in Italy, you need to know about the vendors that are everywhere. If you've ever been to Mexico, you know about them. A lot of them were very pushy though. Like one of the other students would be giving a presentation and she just wouldn't stop bugging us, and we all told her to go away, and she was so pushy it almost ruined her presentation. Smokers. Oh, Italy was full of smokers. It seemed like everyone smoked and everyone smoked everywhere. And that was so frustrating because I come from a non-smoking home, non-smoking friends, and to go to that, it was like my lungs just couldn't breathe. I was so happy to be home where we have bylaws about those things. The train was awesome. They had headrests, so you could sleep if you wanted to. Bathrooms, a lot of the trains even had bathrooms on them, which was awesome. You had to make sure that you had your little pass or your ticket or whatever, because there was a lot of policing, and it was quite expensive if you got fined. I think it was about 500 euros if you didn't have a pass. They had outdoor water fountains everywhere, so if you didn't want to buy water, you could just go to a free fountain and refill your water bottle. That was really cool. They do have McDonald's and Burger King and Subway and all those things, but the menus are a little different. It's not exactly the same. I don't eat McDonald's, so I can't tell you if it tastes the same, but I was with someone that does eat McDonald's religiously, and she said it was awesome. So another thing that women especially won't be used to is all the catcalls you get. Men in Italy are very verbal about anything they see as beautiful or desirable, and they will let you know if they think that you're beautiful and desirable. Like, we would get catcalled all the time just walking down the street, and that doesn't happen in Edmonton unless it's like a Friday or Saturday night and you're walking down Jasper White. So that was a little different. And one of my friends went, every time you girls need a self-confidence boost, just remember all the catcalls we got in Italy. So I do. Eating out, you need to know about courses. In our country, when we order a meal, we have all of our courses included in that meal and in the price. But there you get like your starter and your side and your main meal, and like your dessert is all separate. You have to order them all separately, which can be very frustrating. But just to keep in mind, so if you want, say, a salad and potatoes and a steak and extra veggies or a pasta, you have to order them all separate. Tips can be included. Sometimes you have to check your bill. They'll say if they're included or not. And sometimes there will be an extra charge depending on where you've sat in the restaurant. Like if you're on the patio or the restaurant, it might be different. So just make sure to check. The French fries. Oh, I missed French fries. Everywhere we went in Italy, it just wasn't the same, and I'm a French fry nut. I love French fries, so that I really missed French fries. And I missed ketchup. In Italy, you'd think they have good ketchup, but they don't. It's called Matto, and it's like tomato paste with nutmeg and spices in it, and it just wasn't the same. Getting cold water was very, very difficult. It was hard to find ice water. And I love ice water. I don't care what anyone says about lukewarm water hydrating you better. I like ice water. And when I found it, I would have like 3 or 4 glasses at a time. So it was really nice to come back to Canada where everywhere sells ice. It was Wonderful. The beef is so different. Born and raised in Alberta, I took for granted how awesome our beef is. It is like the beef that people dream about. It's so good. And I didn't realize how good our beef was until I was in Italy and I couldn't have it. And I tried their steak, I tried hamburgers, I tried meatballs. Like, I tried several things that are made of beef there. And none of them were the same. Their beef was gray and gamey and tasted weird. And it wasn't our Alberta beef. So I was so happy to come home to Alberta beef. The pizza there is, 8-10 inches, and it's just a light, fluffy crust, and it has the tomato sauce and usually cheese and toppings on it. And one pizza is meant to be eaten by an individual, and usually they're not cut, which was awesome. And I would order mine without cheese. I'd order margarita pizzas without cheese, and it was just tomato sauce and pizza crust, and they were very tasty. I'd order ham and mushrooms, no cheese. It was very good. Getting them to understand I didn't want cheese was difficult. The gelato. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love the gelato. I didn't try gelato until we were there for probably 2.5 or almost 3 weeks. We only stayed for 4. And I'm lactose intolerant, that's why I didn't want to try it. But it was the most amazing thing I've ever eaten. And they had so many flavors, and we were lucky enough to stay near the 3rd best gelateria in all of Italy. And I went there several times, even though it really hurt me the next day or even that night. It was so good. To get a disposable phone in Italy, you need to go to an electronics store and buy your phone. And then you need to go to Buffetti and buy your SIM card and your minutes. Buffetti is like their version of Staples. To mail a letter is also very different. You have to go to a Tabacci store to get your stamps and to a Buffetti to get your envelope. And then you can mail it at the post office. And the post office is so different. There's like this tower thing, and it has these different letters or numbers around it, and you're supposed to push the one that corresponds with what you need. But since we couldn't read it and our dictionary didn't have the words in them, because apparently you don't send letters when you're traveling, we were so confused. So we all took a different number, and the first of our numbers that came up, we went to that window and we explained to them what happened, and the lady just like rolled her eyes, but she helped us, so that was good. Debit cards. In Italy, it is very rare that places take debit. They'll usually take Visa, but not always, so it's best to carry cash. And you have to go to ATMs, of course, to take out cash, and you'll just get into the habit of taking out a ridiculous amount of cash because we're so used to having that little debit card and we know how much is in our account, so we just go, whatever, there's enough, no problem. But no, when you have cash, you have to like really figure out how much you can spend. And since we were eating out and buying our souvenirs and traveling and stuff, like, we had to know, and it was really different than how we're used to living, so keep that in mind. Taxes are included in everything, which was so neat. I just loved that. The museums expected and even went so far as to demand exact change, which was incredibly frustrating because we were in a group of 20-some people, and if most of us paid with exact change, they still wouldn't give change to everyone else who only had bills. It was very frustrating. Oh, the age limit. They consider youth age 25 and under. If you're 26, you're screwed. They don't give you discounts. They don't consider youth. Nothing. And the International Student Identification Card, I did get one because I'm 25. And it did get me discounts into museums for things like that. But honestly, it didn't pay for itself. If I traveled again before it expired, it might pay for itself. And if you're staying at hostels, it pays for yourself. But I didn't do those things. So, all in all, I don't think I'd get another one if I was going on another trip like the one I took. The customer service in Italy, I hate to say, was absolutely terrible. A lot of places wouldn't give you the time of day. They wouldn't help you. They just looked at you like, what are you doing here? You know? And it was very frustrating because I understand that their economy is having a lot of problems. And tourism has to be a huge source of revenue for them. So wouldn't you think that they would be trying to like make more money out of the tourism business, but no. And a lot of the times, Italians, first of all, don't eat breakfast. They have like an espresso or a cappuccino or something, and then a breakfast pastry, and that's it. And then they close for lunch at about 1 or whatever, and their stores open later as well. So they close about 1 or 2, and then they stay closed until 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, depending on what they feel like. And sometimes the stores don't even reopen, so they take these ridiculously long lunches, and then, which is good because when you have to eat that many courses, you need a long lunch anyway. But sometimes they wouldn't even reopen, and that was really frustrating because if we wanted to shop, we had to do it before our lunch hour or well into the evening after our lunch hour. Unless you were in a very touristy area, then it would stay open usually. Yeah, the stores didn't really have set hours, so that was again frustrating. In the grocery store, the fruit and vegetables were absolutely huge, and everything was so tasty. Now, I don't know if you've experienced this, but there are lots of times that I will buy fruit and vegetables from the grocery store, and they look amazing, and they taste horrible, like gross, and I just have to throw it out because it's so bad. But in Italy, that never happened to me. Everything was gorgeous and tasty, and I thought very fair priced. Their beauty products, they actually had a lot of the similar beauty products that we have, which is awesome because my luggage got delayed at the airport, and I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to find products that I knew what it was. But they had herbal essences and Dove and things like that, so at least I got by. At the grocery store, you can buy alcohol. As long as it isn't hard alcohol, you can buy alcohol without ID. In the basement, they had this like little corner with alcohol in it, and it was awesome. You could buy wine, beer, coolers, basically any kind of alcohol as long as it wasn't hard alcohol without ID. And if you wanted hard alcohol, you just had to have your identification to prove that you were of age. And I have no idea what the age was, really. As for bathrooms in Italy, a lot of the public ones are unisex. Most of them don't have toilet seats, which I think is just odd because I never knew whether to squat or sit. I didn't know. For the sinks, they usually had a foot pedal on the ground in order to get the water to come out of the tap in the bathrooms. And a lot of the hotels we stayed in, they either had no shower curtain at all for the shower, or they had this like little glass partition. It was about 3 feet, probably 4 feet, for the bathtub, and you would just like squish yourself into this little triangle in the shower, and I don't understand that. Like, they would have these huge, beautiful bathrooms and no way to enjoy your warm shower. Like, weird. And then they also had bidets. Most hotels had the bidets. But I still didn't figure out how to use them after all this time. I think that I've covered everything. All the differences. I'm not bashing Italy at all. I loved Italy. I would love to go back again. But I am so happy that I'm Canadian and that I grew up in this wonderful country with all these freedoms and opportunities. So, like if you are a proud Canadian, and we'll talk to you soon.